Hi everybody, Carmen and Reva here with Quality Sewing, and we are so excited today to go over what is Wooly Nylon and why do I want to use it? How do I use that product? So Reva is really our resident expert here at Quality Sewing for all things sewing, quilting, and serging, and she's going to take us through all the different ways you might use Wooly Nylon, and I actually think Wooly Nylon has a couple of different names. We'll talk about that as well, and how you can use it in lots of different sewing projects. So Reva, tell us about some Wooly Nylon.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the name.
Yes.
Wooly Nylon has been around forever. Now, have you ever heard that there's a jacuzzi and then there's hot tubs?
Yes.
Jacuzzi is a brand name or a specific thing,
Definitely.
and hot tubs is kind of like a generic. So not all hot tubs are jacuzzis, but all jacuzzis are hot tubs, right?
Yes.
Or did you know that all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares?
Well, that one just sounds confusing.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But it's like how Frisbee's actually an actual trademark name. And so like if it's not a Frisbee, you call it a disc. But same thing, Frisbee disc.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, same item.
So Wooly Nylon has been, like I said, around for a long time. And nylon, and we'll talk about the properties of why you even want such a beast anyway. But nylon is very heat sensitive. So if you think about it, if you were to, you might not have nylons, but if you were to iron nylons, you know, just a mess.
That does not sound fun.
No, don't try to put them on after you iron.
Yeah.
So this is actually woolly poly. And so it's our preferred thing now is woolly poly, not woolly nylon.
Okay,
and
great.
the reason is because it's not as heat sensitive.
Awesome.
Okay.
And this is called Aeroflock.
This is Aeroflock.
By Madeira.
There are other brands. This is just the one that we happen to have here because of the way it sews and the quality of stitch that it gives, we really like this. Now, I don't know, can we switch over here to this camera? I just want to show you really quick the difference between a regular thread. Are we there? See, this is a regular thread here. See how nice and thin it is? It stays consistent the whole time. A woolly product, like the woolly poly, is fluffy. But when you stretch it, it gets thin. And then when you it's not stretched, it relaxes. So what that means is that when we're using this, when it relaxes, it will either fill in a space.
Ooh, like fill in a stitch.
Yeah, fill in a stitch, and the other property is that it has give to it. So depending on what you're sewing. So you had mentioned that we're going to talk about the different things that you can use it for.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about some of the things. I can't imagine how long we'd be here for all the things.
No, of course.
But if
we're just going to talk about all the ways you could sew for like hours and hours.
So if you're doing something with a high level of stretch, whether you're using your sewing machine or your serger, just in a regular stitches, not anything specific, you can use a woolly poly because it will give your stitch even more stretch. So for example, if you were making a swimsuit, which stay tuned next week because hint, hint, you might get to see something about that. But it will give you even more stretch because those are performance fabrics and they need to be able to stretch. Leggings, any type of performance like a bike shirt or anything like that, you want it to, or heaven's sakes, the stuff your kids wear. Right. You need it to be able to stretch really well, but be strong so the stitches don't pop. And that's one thing this is going to give you. If you're applying, if you're doing an elastic waistband or a knit garment with elastic, whether it be, let's say, a slip or another undergarment would also be that way, this has a lot of stretch to it. So if you pull a thread on your slip, you're gonna see it's woolly nylon is what it is and then it's undone and then you don't have lace on your stuff anymore. But if you're doing any type of foundation garments or anything with elastic, this actually stretches, but
very
it's
stretchy
strong.
and strong.
But it's
awesome.
very strong. Okay.
And this comes in all sorts of different beautiful colors.
It does.
So it can match anything that you're working on.
Now, another thing that is really popular to do with a woolly poly is to do a rolled hem.
Yes.
And the rolled hem, you have this cute little guy here.
I have a cute little skirt here. And what a cute little rolled hem.
Really darling with this little rolled hem on it. And you'll do rolled hem maybe on napkins. And oh, that looks really cute in the camera. It looks like it's fluted, but this is actually a variegated rolled hem. So it gives that really neat illusion there.
Variegated thread, super fun.
But if you want it fluted, we have machines that do that too.
We do.
It's kind of nice. It's called a oh my gosh. Wave stitch. Oh my
Wave
goodness,
stitch.
my brain died. Okay, so, but with a rolled hem, you want to have enough thread to cover the edge, but you don't want it so dense as that the stitches are so tight together that it causes the fabric to warp or be pushed out of location. So that's what makes this really nice, is because it will puff and fill that edge.
Fill that edge.
So whether you're doing a garment or a placemat, not
Right,
a placemat, but
a napkin or something, or a scarf. I bet it would be great for a scarf.
Drapes. Oh, what if you're doing a wedding and you have a veil to do?
A veil, it would be perfect for that. What's great about the rolled hem that Reva's going to show you today is it's actually done on a serger, and it's so much easier than trying to do a rolled hem, a more traditional roll head on your sewing machine. And the Wooly Nylon just creates such a beautiful finish.
It does. It really
amazing.
Does. Yeah. So why don't we look at that? Right now, I want to set this machine over to do a rolled hem on this serger here. This is a Victory. And I'm going to use some dark thread so you can see. So I'm just going to cut this guy off, and I'm going to pull that thread out. Raise my foot. And the reason why I want to change the thread is because I want you to see what it looks like if I can get my thread out. Can I get the right one? Sure. No, of course not. There it goes. Of course not. Of course not. There he is right here.
Yeah, I love this serger. It is such a fun one.
It is. It does a lot of nice things, and it's very dependable, which is nice. So I just want you to see, as I'm struggling with my threads, but I just wanted you to see how easy it is to thread, and then how easy it is to change it over to a rolled hem, because a lot of us may not do that very often. So if you're working with a serger, depending on your serger, you may need to want to thread it in a specific order, because sergers like that. This particular one doesn't care, but I'm going to activate my my threading here and just close my little tunnels here. Tell it I want to do the lower looper, because that's the one I'm going to do, and he's going to come out right here. And most sergers you have to...
Oh, the air threading.
Yeah, you have to climb under the hood, get tools out, but there it is, that easy. And now I'm just going to open that back up, and we are ready to sew. So let me show you what a rolled hem would look like on this fabric. So let me put my fabric under there, and I notice... Nope, he's good.
Reva, have you made any other adjustments for your...
I'm doing that right now. I'm making my cutting blade down to a 3.5, and I'm going to take my my thread length, my stitch length down so they're closer together. And then on this machine, in order to get it to do a rolled hem, I'm just going to flip a switch to D. Now it's ready for rolled hem, and off we go. Okay, so now I'm going to stop. And of course I changed the one. I should have done the upper looper, not the lower looper, but hey, there we go. I just want to show you a couple things on here. Is that, see the beautiful rolled hem it does? It actually tucks it, and it stitches at the same time. And then can you see where I went off right here? So this is the width of the fabric. So it cut that, but this is how much that little, like 1/8 of an inch, it actually, this serger folds it under and incorporates that into the stitch. So it's a really beautiful, juicy little stitch. Okay, so let's change the thread for our looper here and put in a woolly, and I want to show you how that looks, and you'll be able to see it a little bit different. I'm just going to loosen that up off the little, there we go, off of our piece there, and I'm going to cut my thread and pull him out. But this is a woolly thread, so it's not going to go through the tubes because it's light and fluffy, kind of like cotton candy. So I'm going to go ahead and close up my tubes, and I'm going to give myself a nice length of my woolly, put that on here. Whoops, I don't need the spool holder. Pop him on there, and we're just going to lay him right in the path. But what I want to do is take a nice piece, a long length of regular thread, and I'm going to fold it in half. So I have a loop here, and I have my 2 ends up top. And this is called a thread cradle. So I'm going to get my 2 ends, and I'm going to put those into my threading port and send these through. And it has this really cool little pump. You just pump it, and then our little thread, here's the ends are up right up here. And now I have my little loop. Just take that and put your little woolly right through it and pull it through. Now you have your woolly ready to go.
That is such a great tip. I love that thread cradle.
Yeah, it's really, and if you're ever working with heavyweight threads, it works the same way. And on no matter what serger you're working on, that will work as well. So now I want to just show you how beautiful this stitch is using a woolly. Look at how pretty that is. It has such a nice smooth appearance, and it fluffs when it relaxes to fill that in so it's solid. And the other thing that's great is since it folds that fabric under, it's a really stable, it's not going to just fall off. I don't know if you've ever made a napkin or something where you do that and it just comes off of and then you have to keep making it shorter and shorter.
Yeah, that's no good. Or sometimes where like fabric slubs like pop out of the seam a little bit. Woolly like covers all of that.
Right.
Makes it beautiful.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And I remember I did a beautiful little wedding suit for a friend who was getting married, and she had a chiffon overlay, and it was a pair of pants. Well, they kept slipping off the chiffon, so I had to keep making them shorter because it wasn't this serger. And so it was... She got married. It's fine. She's been married for years. So, okay, now let's talk about using a sewing machine. Now remember, you can use the woolly poly in a serger in any place. You just don't really use them in the needles. You can use it in the upper looper or in the lower looper. It gives a nice amount of stretch. And if you're doing a swimsuit, you might put in the upper and the lower looper to give it really a lot of
that's
stretch.
a good tip.
So, okay, so woolly poly when you're going on a bobbin, depending on your machine, since this stretches and relaxes, right, we really want the thread to pull off the bobbin in a relaxed state. So you can hand wind your bobbin, okay? And what that does is that keeps it from having way too much tension on the thread. However, if you have a machine that has a really super slow speed, like this one does, and this is, now, if you're going to do this, bear in mind, if you get it too tight on here, you're not going to be happy with the results. So don't do that. But I'm going to go really super slow, and I'm using my foot control, not just the good, not just the, oh, I got to lower the foot, it says. I'm not going to just use the go button for this because I want to control it. So I can actually go painfully slow. Oh, I got to push it over. Haha. There we go. I can go really slow. And then I'm going to just gather and control the thread just by hand. And then I don't have that extra drag on it. So it's staying really nice and soft. So as you see, I don't have it going through all the tension things and, you know, the items over here. And you want it to be pretty mushy because it's a thread that should be mushy. So I'm going to cut that thread. We're done with that spool. So now let's just pop it into our bobbin case. And we'll talk about using the sewing machine with woolly. So this is going to give you a similar effect. Because it is a stretchy thread, it's going to make things so it has stretch in the fabric. So you can use this if you want it to be decorative or if you want it to be practical. So here's some knit here. It's really, this is rib, so it's very, very stretchy. So if I wanted to do a hem, I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to choose just a zigzag. And I'm going to start with just a wide zigzag so you can see how that looks, and I'll turn my speed up a little bit here. But if we're going to do a wide zigzag, oh, that's way too slow. Okay. Okay, so let me just show you what that looks like. So it looks normal from the top, right? But on the back, we've got the stretchy thread. Okay, now let's talk about just doing regular stitching knit fabrics. You don't need to use a wide stitch like that. We can actually take it down. Right now it's at a 3.5 is the width of this stitch. So I'm going to take this down to 1 millimeter, which is really narrow, and I'm going to make it a little bit of a longer stitch. Maybe let's do 2. It came up at 1 point something, 1.1 or the such. So I'm going to make this more like, it's going to be more like a straight stitch. I might even take that down to 1/2 millimeter wide. So the seam will look more like a straight stitch, but it will still have stretch for the knit. And you can see a little bit of the pink popping through, so it is good to match your needle and your bobbin thread. But you can see there on the back end, look at all the stretch that we have with that stitch. So there's lots of stuff that you can do with a woolly poly.
Yeah, that's really fun. I've never used woolly poly before in my sewing machine. I've only ever used it on the serger for rolled hems.
Absolutely.
Such a great tip.
Yeah, if you have a little repair to do on some performance wear or something and you don't want to crack out your serger, just
totally like that. Those yoga leggings that I have that have a hole on the seam, would be perfect.
Yeah, get a new pair.
Get a new pair. Or I can sew it. Or you can fix it.
Or make a whole new pair.
That's right. That's true. Or make a whole new pair.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. I feel like I learned a whole bunch. We hope that you learned some great new things about woolly nylon or woolly poly, right? And at the quality sewing stores, like we talked about before, we do carry the Arrow Lock, which is Madeira's version, and then it matches a lot of the other Madeira threads that we have, which is great when you're trying to match that top and bottom color. And yeah, anything else to add?
Well, on that, with the color that we're using here, this really bright pink, and then there was the bright green that we're doing on the serger. Don't be afraid of those colors, because it's amazing how nicely those blend with your fabrics and with other colors. So even though on the spool it's like, wow, that's pink, in your project, it's going to be really pretty. And if you put if you're doing a rolled hem like on the serger, put a slightly different color for the back, for the lower looper, and for the needle, and you'll get a nice variety of color, and it'll be really pretty. So get your basics. People like to do baby blankets and things, and you'll need things. Everybody needs red and green for the holidays, and
for sure.
So just pick your colors, but pick some fun ones too, and I bet you'll have a good time with those. So really easy to use, really easy to use. Just don't try to put it through your needle. It's really fluffy.
No,
it doesn't like
no
that.
needle, sewing machine as well, only in the bobbin and the loopers on your sergers. It'll work great.
Yep.
So be sure to join us next week, because as Reva sort of talked about, we're going to have something really fun around swimsuits. So I think that there could be another application here for this great thread. So join us next time. We are here every Tuesday at 10 a.m. For our How Do I series.
See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.